Bophelong is a show about life and the challenges it sometimes brings our ways, but we don't like to dwell on those. We shine the spotlight on those who overcome and go on to achieve greatness despite their obstacles. My name is Rufil Wemwilwa and welcome to the show. 73-year-old Stephen Hawking is a man highly regarded the world throughout as one of the best examples of a life of triumph over adversity. He once said, "Don't be disabled in spirit as well as physically." And in today's program, we'll meet a young man who is most certainly living his best life possible. This is the story of Khutso Masha.
I grew up like this. This is the only normal I've ever known.
This is the simple yet profound truth of 28-year-old Khutso Masha from Mamelodi. His home, doubling up as his office space, is always a hub of activity with his friends and business clients. We wanted to learn more about the graphic artist, fondly known as Peace Graphics.
I was a child. It was pretty active. It wasn't like early days, between, let's say before your teen years. It was pretty fun. I had friends and disability wasn't much an issue.
Diagnosed with Osteogenesis Imperfecta, commonly known as brittle bone disease, from a young age, Khutso knew that his winning ticket in life would be a positive mindset despite his physical limitations.
I encountered the problem in my teen years. That's when the problem came in, and I quickly overcame that. I was in hospital in and out. There were some procedures they were gonna do, and my family wasn't well off, so some of the procedures were a bit expensive. Some were trials, so it came to a point where you could even see that there's no point in this. So, and sometimes I was afraid that the next thing you'll spend half of your life in hospital doing procedures, things, experimentals, and your life will just go past you without even having fun or those things. So I quickly came over that, and I just started living life as it is. I realized that I was different from the other kids in my teen years. That's when everybody was starting to going out and doing this and that and things that I wasn't capable of doing. We were always wheelchair bound, and people were going to parks and traveling, so that was pretty much an issue for me. Obviously, I have to maybe go an extra mile, because the first thing they see is a guy in a wheelchair, and breaking the ice, that takes time, and after that, that's when maybe we'll start something.
Having found solace at the Pretoria School for the Physically Disabled, he thrived and remembers his peers being just like any other children from mainstream schools.
School was great. It was a school for the disabled, so everybody had their own disability, so there wasn't any teasing. Even if there was, it was cool between us because everybody has something that's wrong with them.
He's come far with the consistent support of his family and friends, always nearby to lend a hand. For the most part, though, he insists on doing most things for himself.
Day to day, I can basically do anything myself. I can make my food, make your bed, sleep, wash, everything. So even around the yard, it hasn't been adjusted. I can go in the house without the wheelchair, use my legs and hands here and there, and yeah, that's how I get around.
With never a dull moment when he's around, Khutso's home is also a meeting spot for his friends who enjoy a good gaming session, of course, when he's not busy. His niece Palisa can attest to the fact that her uncle is a chatterbox who just loves to have a good laugh.
He's the typical uncle, you know, he teases me all the time. Yeah, and whenever I need help from him, he's funny. And the memories I have with him, just like random conversations when his friends aren't around. Yeah, we love together. That's what I like.
My biggest support has always been my friends and family, basically. You know, from moving around to going to places, traveling from point A to point B, it's always been my brother and friends. They're the ones that will take you to your meetings, you know, to wherever way you want to go. So, yeah, my friends and family, they've been the biggest support.
This was just the beginning of our day, with a few business clients to see still and a meeting with his partner. Kujo always travels with an entourage. Osteogenesis imperfecta, literally meaning imperfectly formed bones, is a rare genetic bone disorder of inherited diseases characterized by brittle bones that are prone to fracture at varying degrees depending on the subtype of disorder. Do you know someone with a similar condition to Kuzo's who is playing their part in their community? Well, then email us. You know, the email address, of course, is bophelong@sabc.co.za. Stay with us. After the ad break, we get to know about this Mamelodi native a little more through the eyes of his friends and associates.
Devani has pleaded not guilty to murdering his wife. In November 2010, Devani's murder trial finally got underway. It's taken South African authorities more than 3 years to get him into the dock.
Not guilty of robbing, kidnapping and murdering his wife. This is how Devani pleaded before Deputy Cape Judge President Jeanette Traverso.
Why did these two men need even a gun to scare a little girl like that? Those are the questions that runs around our head.
Your World, weekdays at 9 p.m.
For over 20 years now, South Africa has just been one big construction site, building houses.
This is the only country in the world that provides free housing. The government has done very well in this particular area.
What are the challenges facing human settlements?
Most of the people who move into urban centers are looking for jobs, basically, and that increases the pressure in that particular area. We know exactly what needs to be done where and how it should be done.
They were also building houses for married staff, and you had the married quarters and the hostels. And all of that stopped. What happened?
Nothing has stopped, Mr. Martins. We cannot solve the housing problems on our own in this country. We cannot wait for government as well.
It's a joint venture, if I were to put it like that, between the public sector and the private sector, particularly in the area of mines.
That's Rights and Recourse, Sundays 2 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're tuned to Bophelong on the SABC News channel. I recently spent some time with a young man named Kuzo from Mamelodi, east of Pretoria. He is quite a character, admired and respected for the life he has built for himself. But let's now meet Kuzo, the CEO and founder of Peace Graphics.
After high school, I worked at, let's say, a couple of graphic design and print jobs. And basically after that, you know, the conditions went right, and you know, you'd work and, you know, the salary wasn't that good. And, you know, that's when I saw that, let me start my own thing. Let me take a chance and see where it will land me. So that's when I took a chance and started my thing here at home. Started working from my bedroom, finally could make an office here. That's when I met Ivan. Has always been there. He introduced me to people around Mamelodi, you know, brought customers along, and from there it's been via referral every time.
When I see Kujo, I don't see disability. I see one of my boys. I work with him on any project because I believe in his input. I come up with ideas, and Kujo will put those ideas into flyers and like marketing tools that I can use. So like me and him, like we're a good combination. Like everybody looks at me like I know my story, but what they don't know is I'm actually getting my brains from him.
And I met Olga, let's say about maybe 3 years ago. She was going to open an internet cafe. So in internet cafe, we decided to help her establishing her printing side of the business.
Kujo is my son and he's my mentor. And because when I'm stuck in a way, I phone him and we just resolve it. As much as when he is stuck and then he needs any advice, he will call me and then we just see what we can do. We go to exhibitions together. We just plan everything together. Kujo, it's a godsend. I met Kujo in 2008 through a pastor. I was just queuing at the post office and then we started chatting. And then I told him how I wanted to open a business, of which it was an internet cafe. And I explained to him that I didn't have any technician for that. Then that is how we met with Kujo. Kujo is very loyal and he does his responsibilities and always punctual. And then when he is a little bit out of line, as a mother, I will just coach him.
I got to collaborate with Kujo about 4 years ago. I got his details from a referral from a friend, Ivan. He told Kujo basically the concept of the brand, and Kujo did 2 posters for us. After he did the 2 posters, I was impressed with his work and I met him. Then ever since, we've been working together. Everything that we do, the graphics are done by him. So for the past 4 years, everything that's related to the brand, it's been done by Kujo. What stands out about Kujo, it's quite simple. He pays attention to detail, and you can simply call him, tell him, I have this idea, this concept, can you do something for me? And I have full trust in his creative abilities. His posters are always on point. He brings a difference in each poster that he does for us. It's unique, the way he takes life as a person. He takes it like a normal person like us, not as a person that's disabled. He's a fun guy to be around with.
The thing I like about him is he doesn't see himself as someone who's disabled, you know what I mean? He does everything that we do.
I was introduced to peace by Ivan some 4 years ago, and I said to Ivan, hey man, Ivan, this peace friend of yours, he's not coming, man. I'm sitting here waiting for him and he's not coming to me. And he sounds a bit arrogant because I asked him to come see me and he's taking his time. And he said, no, but he's not like that. And I said to him, but what do you mean he's not like that? He said, no, he's actually on a wheelchair, so that's why you need to go to him. And I thought, oh, there. One of the qualities I found in him is that he took his business as serious as I took mine. He's already involved enough with all the events that he creates and the mood that he sets. Because before the people come, he's the one that's responsible for setting the mood right. And he gets that right every single time. No, but he's a jolly old guy. Yeah, no, he's very fun to be with. And the nice thing is that when he parties, he gets out of his work, formality. He becomes himself. He just parties. And that's what we appreciate. I mean, when he comes here, he makes me eat. He eats a lot.
Khutso's creativity is in no way hampered by his physical difficulties. Some great work there, and we can only wish that your business grows from strength to strength. After this short break, you'll be interested to see what Khutso gets up to when he needs some time out. Stay with us. This is Bophelong.
Guinea is reopening an Ebola clinic in its remote southeast in an effort to prevent sick nationals seeking better treatment elsewhere.
The new labor law also seeks to clamp down on violent strikes by holding a trade union liable for violence committed by its members during a strike.
The new canal is set to boost annual revenues to about $13 billion by 2023. It's part of a larger project to expand port and shipping facilities around the canal.
This is Vigigas's fourth victory on the PGA Tour.
That's all the weather that I have for you for now. Stay tuned.
For all your business news, catch news at 1 every day. Be informed.
Hello again. In today's show, we met Khutso Masha, a self-made graphic designer and entrepreneur who is living with brittle bone disease. I did say we'd be seeing what he gets up to when he needs some time out, but before that, I have Dr. Anthony Robertson from the Wits Specialist Unit of Orthopedic Surgery in studio to discuss this rare genetic disorder. Dr. Robertson, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure. So as a start, I mean, osteogenesis imperfecta, or OI, or brittle bone disease, is a rare disorder. Let's talk about prevalence rates, especially pertaining to South Africa.
I think it's a rare disorder, as you said, and around the world it's rare. And I don't think we really know the exact incidence of this disease. But from when you do read about it, you'll find figures bandied around of about 1 in 20,000 children that may be affected.
Oh, wow. And let's talk about the causes then. It's a spontaneous mutation that sometimes happens?
Well, it's a genetic disorder, so it can be passed from parent to child, but many cases are spontaneous mutations. We in South Africa, we tend to see a form of the disease which is particularly severe, and which is not what we see worldwide.
Really? And are there any reasons that have been given for this reason?
No understanding about that whatsoever. It's just one of those curious things that happens.
Oh, wow. All right. And there's different subtypes of the disease and different severities. Yeah. What are the types that are most common that you see in the wards?
Well, we like to classify things in medicine, and we've basically got 4 common types that we like to talk about. But as the genetic understanding of the disease expands, we realize that this is a group of disorders which express themselves with brittle bone. And so the classifications that we have are probably inadequate, and there's probably far more forms of the disease around than we are aware of.
Okay. Yeah. And with regards to, misdiagnosis, I'm sure for people who have less severe forms, you know, the initial thing might be osteoporosis or, other types of bone ailments.
Yes. So in the milder forms, patients can live for many years without being aware of the fact. You may have clues such as blue sclerae to alert you to the condition, and by and large it's a clinical diagnosis, and so that is why cases the mild forms may get missed. There's a spectrum of disease though, and there are particularly severe forms where it is very obvious that the child has got osteogenesis imperfecta.
Okay, and you know the gentleman that we met in the show, Cujo,
yes.
you know, he's in a wheelchair, but
yes.
he wasn't always in a wheelchair. You know, when he was younger, he could move around on his 2 legs. So is it a case of, you know, the older one gets, depending on the type that you have, you know, your bones get, you know, weaker, and that
He's probably got the form that we see in South Africa, which is the fairly severe type. And I think a lot of these patients, despite the fractures that they have, they learn to protect themselves to prevent fractures. And maybe that is why he has ended up preferring to live his life in a wheelchair. Together maybe with the deformities that he has, which may make walking more difficult. Mm-hmm. These are possible reasons why patients do sometimes end up in the wheelchair.
Okay, and let's just talk about, you know, the treatment team that should be behind someone with this disease.
Yeah, so very often these children are firstly picked up or referred to an orthopedic surgeon, but I like to think of it as a multidisciplinary team approach. And so we like to send the children's parents for genetic counselling so that they can see what the risk of having another child with the same condition is, and so that they can make informed decisions. There's also a vital role for physiotherapists, occupational therapists to help the child adapt their life and their lifestyle. And then the orthopedic surgeon gets involved when the child has fractures and to try and prevent deformity as a result of these fractures.
Okay.
And we're also treating the pain and all the associated things that go together with the fracturing, the easy fracturing of the bones.
All right. And with regards to fracturing, I mean, is the pain more severe than what we would have, for example?
Not necessarily so, because very often the amount of trauma that the child is subjected to is minimal, so there's not much damage to the soft tissues, but obviously there's pain involved with a fracture.
And with regards to healing time?
Healing times are the same as any other fracture, but the bone quality, the new bone at the healing site is also affected by osteogenesis imperfecta, so it's also weak bone.
When I was, you know, researching and trying to find just, you know, specialists who can talk about this, very few names came up within the South African medical spectrum, and even just overseas, with regards to groups and all of that, it's very scattered. What could be, you know, the reason for this?
Well, it is rare. And so probably all the cases are getting centred in the bigger centres around South Africa. So I think that the patients tend to get referred into the university hospitals and so on. And that's why small teams of doctors get to treat these patients.
Okay. With regards to university hospitals, you know, Cujo mentioned that there was a time when he spent about a year in and out of hospital, and just challenges with regards to advancements in technology. Let's talk about those issues and the fact that a lot of it now is a lot of clinical trials.
Yes. I like to think that the treatment is as good in our government hospitals as in the private sector. We see these patients, and all the technology is available there to treat them. With regards to the newer treatment modalities, as well, it's not that new now, but we refer our patients to our metabolic units because there is drug treatment available, which builds up the density of the bone and the strength of the bone. And that is probably the starting point of all treatment, is to build up the quality of the bone.
All right. And, you know, the future of medicine is stem cell therapy.
Yes.
Anything related to osteogenesis imperfecta?
Yes, well, it is a genetic disorder, and I think it's probably still experimental at this stage. But I think bone marrow transplants, stem cell therapies, I think they are going to be the treatment of the future.
Okay. And just how important is mindset for someone like this? You know, we're seeing Cujo here, and he's doing an amazing job. He's adapted his lifestyle. You know, his community and friends have accepted him, and he's just, you know, one of the guys.
Yes. Well, I think that's the fantastic thing about it. These patients are all mentally normal. I find that they're very bright children. Maybe because they're not outdoors all the time with their peers. They might be sitting inside listening to adult conversations. They're very good at language and so on. And they do adapt their lives, and they're remarkable patients to treat.
All right.
Very positive outlooks usually.
Sure. And in terms of longevity of life?
Okay, well, that depends on the severity of the disease. So as I said, in the most severe form, unfortunately, it's lethal at birth. And in the mildest form, you can live a very long, healthy lifestyle.
Okay. And just to close off, Doctor, I just want to ask about any groups. Are there any support groups in South Africa?
I'm not aware of any support groups in South Africa. I think a lot of support groups these days are internet-driven and internet-based. And in the patients that I treat in my population, not many of them have got access to the internet or such free access. And so I don't know if these support groups have been set up
in such a way as they might have been overseas.
All right. Thank you for your time, Dr. Robertson. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. That was Dr. Anthony Robertson on the complexities of life with OI. Although it cannot be cured, it can be managed by a good team of health professionals. Despite his health, Cujo is still, well, a regular guy with a love and appreciation for adrenaline, sports and the outdoors. Take a look.
This is what we basically do on a daily basis, us in Cujo. Paintballing, getting away from your stereotypical activities. Mountain climbing, paintballing, water polo, that's all we do.
Let's point. Not at me.
The one thing I've learned from Kuzo is patience. He's the cap between me blowing a gasket. He's taught me to actually calm down and assess the situation and actually address it accordingly. That's one thing I've taken from the Grandmaster himself.
Started as a DJ, then he's also my inspiration about music. I learn a lot from him on a daily basis.
What South Africans can learn from Cujo is that there is life beyond disability.
I'd like to thank the Bophelong team for coming out to spend the day with me, see how I've become a businessman and inspiration to the people around me. I'd like to say to all the kids in wheelchairs out there with disabilities, this is not a life sentence. This is just how your body is, so you should just put that aside and focus on life.
That was so much fun. What an awesome time we had with Cujo and his friends and colleagues. Of course, a thanks as well goes to Professor Anthony Robertson, who joined us in studio to shed more light on osteogenesis imperfecta from a medical point of view. As motivational speaker, philanthropist, cancer and brain tumor survivor, Scott Hamilton, the most recognized male figure skating star in the world, simply put it, the only disability in life is, well, a bad attitude. With that, we've come to the end of the program, but of course, you can join me, Refil Wemwilwa, again next week for more real, untold stories of people's lives who make the choice every single day to not let their challenges define their lives. Goodbye.